Hello, everyone. This is your trader Akash. We'll be starting the session in a few minutes once everyone joins in. In the meanwhile, if anyone have any query, then chat. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I hope you guys are doing good. So, welcome to day 11 of your cybersecurity faculty development program. So, we will continue our web application testing learning today. Let me just share my screen with you. There you go. All right, then. Let's continue where we left. I will turn on my Metasploitable. Okay, then we have Metasploitable active. I'm also turning on my Burp suite and my Firefox because yesterday we discussed how to configure this, right? Allow me a second here. So the IP address is 15. Let's open here. We were working with DBWA. Okay, so let's continue. So today we are going to discuss the topic for another vulnerability. We have here SSH. I'm sorry, we have here SQL. We have CSRF file inclusion, a lot of new stuff here. So let's first take a look into brute force. Okay, give me a second. I'll also share a document in my Drive link that I've shared with you yesterday. And the document will have like a complete guide on how to use like DVWA, all of these sections guide. It will be in there. So you don't need to worry about that. I'm just trying to get that document so I can refer while I'm teaching you. And also share it with in the Drive right now. Okay. So in the brute force section, we can see a simulation here for a web-based vulnerability. Now, in web applications, you have login forms where you can put your usernames and passwords, like your credentials in there. Like when I type my username, let's say I type here Akash and I put the password. Okay, by the way, I haven't connected my Firefox with Burp Suite yet. So I will click on Foxy Proxy and I'll connect with Burp Suite. In my Burp Suite, I'll go in proxy section here and I'll turn on the intercept. So now they are both connected and it will start the interception here. For those who do not have my Drive link, I'll share it one more time with you guys. No problem. I've shared the link in the chat box with everyone. Now they are connected and the Burp Suite will be intercepting. So I'll put my password here as well. Like let's suppose I type here password. And I click login. As soon as I log in, you will see what it is going to capture is a request that is being made for logging in the server. Okay, something went wrong. Hold on a second. Yeah, I need to change it. Okay. Okay, it will work now. Take a look. It captured a request here. Let me just copy this thing and open it in a notepad so you guys can also see. This is the request. Now let's analyze what is in this request. So this is the host address, as I explained yesterday, right? Now in this request that is being created on this host, it goes into the DVWA in vulnerabilities in brute force. That's what we're using. And the parameters here is username, password, and login. The entries that we make, that means the variables, are over here, aka sh, very secure key, and login is login. So there are three variables. And three parameters, obviously. So now what we can do is, what's happening here, let's understand that. We call username as U and password as P. Okay. These U and P, these are two entities that goes on the web server. Now what's happening here is, when you talk about a client server model, it's very simple to understand. You are the client and this is the web server. When the client sends a request to log in, the client is sending the username and password, right? The website will receive the username and password. Now, website have something called as a database connected to it, right? Which have like all the information stored inside. Now, this database actually confirms if this username or password is true or false. That means if they are correct or they are incorrect. If the username and password combination is true, that means it exists in the database and they are correct, the database will send a true response. Otherwise, it will send a false response, right? Either one of them will go. Either one. Either it's true or false. Now, this comparison that takes place in the database, that will only happen when we send the entries. The entries are username and password. Now, on the client end, actually, the client may have, let's say, 8 usernames and 8 passwords. So the client wants to try them all. So of course, the client can do that, right? So one by one, let's say the client have usernames like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, for example. And the client also have different passwords like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? 7 for that matter. Now, how the comparison is going to take place, understand carefully. Client will first try A as a username with 1, then with password, second password, then with third password, with password number 4, password 5, so on and so forth, password 6, and password 7. Then it will go to B, and it will try the same thing with B as well. B will go with 1, with 2, with 3, 4, right? So on and so forth. Similarly, C will do the same thing with 1, with 2, with 3. Now, this permutation that is going on, this sequential hit and try method, the sequential hit and try method, this process is actually called brute force attack. In brute force attack, the client or the tester or the analyst have a list of usernames and passwords. And with the hit and try method, he just checks that which combination is actually giving him the true response. What the analyst want is a true response, right? He just want it to work. So it will keep on trying one by one until it gets a true response. That's how the brute force attacks work. This is also what we have seen in SSH, right? But in SSH, we have seen a tool in Metasploit actually, right? In MSF console, I also have shown you something with the Hydra, right? So these two tools are used for brute force attacks. But today we will see how we can do the same thing with Burp suite, because this is not a system, this is a web application, right? So with Burp Suite also, we can do the same thing, and it's very easy of just a few clicks away, actually. I'll show you how it works. For suppose, let's just suppose we have a username entry and a password entry. The list of my usernames will be implemented here. User list will be implemented on this section here. And if we talk about the password list, it will be implemented on this section. Now the user list may have, let's say, maybe like 20 different entries. The password list may have 20 or maybe 25 or maybe more, doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be same. So one by one, all of the usernames and password will be tried on these entry points. And once the analyst gets the true condition that the password and usernames are accepted, the attack will stop. So this is what's going to happen in Burp Suite also. If you will take a look here, I can send this. Okay, by the way, this request is just editable over here. Now, if I am non-technical person and I don't know much about it, so what I'll do is I'll try one by one password over here. I'll type user2, right? And then I'll try password 2 as well. If it doesn't work, then I'll try user2 with password 3, then password 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so on and so forth. And what if I have 20 usernames? Then definitely it will take a really long time to try all the username and password manually. But we have an amazing thing here, which we call an intruder. You see on the top over here, intruder. What does the intruder means? Somebody who gets in between, right? Somebody who intrudes, who gets into your home. So like breaks in, basically. That's what an intruder means. Interruption, that's what the intruder will do. So now this intruder is a gangster, by the way. He's a gangster. So I will send this request that I captured. I am not forwarding it right now. I'm not dropping it. I just stopped it in between right now. I'm not forwarding it. I'm not doing anything. Let me make it full screen so it is better understood. So I will send this captured request to intruder. And I want intruder to, work with it and see what we can do with it. So there are a few ways that you can forward this request to the intruder. You can make a right click and click on send to intruder. Or you can click on the actions on the top and then send to intruder. It's the same thing. Or you can do a control I. So click on the send to intruder. And as soon as I do that, you will see the intruder starts blinking. It turned red. That yes, I got something. You see here on the top, it turned red. So now that the intruder have my request captured, let's go in there and see what do we have. We can see the captured request is showing up here. This is a target URL showing up on the top, right? And here are some options like add, clear, auto, and refresh on the on the right hand side. Oops. Over here, right? So what's going to happen here is I'm going to make a brute force attack. So I need to tell this gangster, this intruder, that where I want to target, where exactly I need to make a brute force. Because you can see here are multiple entry points that are marked as green, where you can make these attacks. You can see the green alphabets are showing up here. But you need to make a selection specifically for the username entry and the password entry, right? This is where you want to make the brute force. So this is which you will select. And how to make a selection, it's very simple. With your mouse, just select the credential like AKESH, the sample username, and click on add. Simple. You see it's highlighted now. I'll select the password entry and I'll click on add. Basically, what I did is I marked the locations. Now in these locations, it will start the brute force attack with different usernames and different passwords. So that's what's going to happen. But for that, I need to provide it the username list and password list, just like Hydra. So in place, if you'll see on the top over here, we are discussing about positions. So positions are done. Now it's time to give the payloads. That is your list, the username list and the password list. That's what you have to give in there. So if I click on payload here, it tells me the payload set, how many set of payload I want. Do I want to use the same file for both username and password? Or I want to use two different files that I have a separate usernames file and a separate password file? I can do it both ways. If I want two separate files, I can provide it in here. If I want the same file, it can also work a little bit different, right? So let's create a username and a password file first, quickly. It's pretty simple. In Linux, we have a lot of files, but in Windows, let's just create one. Give me a second, I'll get a username and password file for us. Okay, so here is my word list that I just copied. I'm going to save it on my desktop so you guys can also see. And I'll save it with the name of word list. Okay. It's a real big one. There are more than like, I think 124,000, 1,24,000 possible usernames and passwords here. I'm going to use a single list here, right? And here I can add it in this section. What you have to do, either you can paste it. If you have copied the whole list, you can simply paste it. You click on paste, the list will come up. Or if you have something called a pass.txt file, then you can load this txt file by clicking on load. It will help you find out where it is saved, and it will, just load it in this section over here. In this section, I can remove, I can clear, or I can deduplicate. That means it will remove the duplicate ones. So I have it copied and pasted. So I will simply just click on paste. By the way, that will be better. So click on load. Go in the location where you have it. I have it in my desktop, and select the file and click open. As soon as I do that, you will see the potential credentials are showing up here. There we go. It's a really long list. So of course, we'll not bother scrolling it down to the bottom. But for the sake of confirmation, I'll just do it deduplicate so that the duplicate usernames and passwords are gone. So if a single password is repeated or a single entry is repeated, it will remove the duplicate entries. So that will make it more better. Now that I have, added the whole list, if you want to add your own, you can also type here something like, I want a new entry here with the name of Akash. When you press enter, it will be added at the very bottom. If I type here hash at the bottom, you can see it is added. So I can also add my own entries if I want. Now that my positions are set, and now that my passwords are given, or that my word list is given, this word list is going to be used for both username and for password. So this is going to be used for the same thing. It's going to understand it automatically. I can also provide two different payloads here. I can select the payload set as number 2, or I can provide it that way. Otherwise, it's going to just select one of them. And let's just continue on these position. On the right hand side, you will see there is a button for starting the attack over here, right? So when I click on that, it will start the brute force attack and open a new window for us so we can see it more clearly. You can just, click OK. It's just some general entry coming up. Okay. Now here is the attack going on. Now let's understand what is there. This is the set of payload that is being used for the username and password. Okay, hold on a second, guys. It actually should not work this way. Okay, I forgot to tell you about the attack type. I'm sorry. So in the attack type, we have different type of brute force attacks here. Like first attack is sniper. See, sniper, if you understand, the sniper's target is a single victim, right? So he just shoots on the single victim and that's what it's done. So if we have a single entry where we need to, make the attack, then we use sniper. But here we have two locations, two entry points, right? So sniper is not going to work because it only works for one of the entry point. If I was having one of the entry point, let's say I know the username. Let's just understood that we have a username, but I don't know the password. Then the only single entry point for the attack will be password. The username I already know, so I'll put the username as like supposedly admin. I'll put the username, and for password, I'll do the sniper attack. But because I want both of them, there is another type of attack called battering ram. When I click on the attack list, you will see I can I am able to see this whole list over here. In the description, it says the battering ram uses a single set of payload, that means a single word list. It iterates through the payload and places the same payload in all the defined payload positions at once. So it will use a single both lists. So this is the kind of attack that we want. So I'll select that and I'll click on start attack, and now we will see it differently. Hold on. Why is it not showing it properly? Okay, let's just understand what is showing up here. In this section, you can see that the same list is being used for payload 1 and payload 2. That means for two position for username and for password, right? So this list is going, let's suppose, in the username section, and this one is going into the password section. So it is trying all the potential usernames and the passwords one by one into this field over here. The question in front of us is, how is it going to actually confirm that the attack was successful or not? think there's something wrong with the dictionary, guys. Just a second. I might have to like use another dictionary. Just give me a second here. I clear both of them. Clear this as well. Let me load another dictionary. Okay, let's try it again. Word list. Okay, here we have it. And this as well, we have word list. And then we give it a try again. Let's start the attack. Click OK. There you go. Okay, fair enough. We are getting results now. Let's understand the other attacks as well. We have sniper, we have battering ram. We understood these two. There's a pitchfork attack. In this attack, we uses multiple set of payloads. The difference, there is a different payload set for each defined position. The attack iterates to all payloads set similarly. So it's the first payload for each set and then second payload from each set and so on. It works like a pitchfork, which have like two thongs sometimes. So basically, one by one, it will select all the username and password and will give the result accordingly, that if it is giving out a positive response or not. The response is a different thing that we will understand, but as of now, it's going to use two different payloads, two different set of usernames and password, and based on that, it will give us the result. The next one is a bit more, this is one of the most efficient one. It's called the cluster bomb. As the name says, I'm not sure if you're able to understand. In cluster bomb, it uses multiple payload sets, that mean two different word lists. There's a different payload set for each defined position. The attack iterates through each payload set in turn so that all permutation combinations are tested. This is one of the most efficient one, which is cluster bombing. That means for every single username, all password will be tested. Then it will go on the other one, and so on and so forth. The cycle will continue. So for every single username, it will test all the password. Then it will go on username number 2, then user number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, so on and so forth. This one is the most efficient one. So we'll select this and then we start attack. I'm sure we'll get some good result now. Okay, so you can see for admin, it is testing admin for all the usernames. Then it will test the one password for all the usernames. So one by one, it's going to check all of them. So see, as of now, it's checking for all the usernames, the same password. Then another password, then password number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, so on and so forth. It will continue. So this way we can confirm how it is going to give us the result. So because we have a really long list, I'm definitely not going to continue this for that like 1 lakh 24,000 different usernames and password, obviously. So let's make it smaller, you know. Let's just go on the very top of it. And let's just select a few. Like I think these much will be enough. And then try with these things, these credentials. Let's stop this attack because this will take forever. I was just showing you so that you guys can understand that how we can actually execute it in a real time. But instead of these all passwords, I'm going to select and use a few of them. Paste in number 2 and also doing the same in number 1. Okay, let's try this now. Go into Intruder, click on Start Attack. There you go. Okay, so you can see it's first tried out with admin, then it tried out with one password, then it's trying out with another one, so on and so forth. It's just continuing with all of them, right? But my question here is, how will I get to know which one is the correct one? Because it's like trying literally with all of them. I can make it bigger. You can see the whole list over here. It's just keep trying and trying and trying. So let's understand these sections first. This is the number of the request, the serial number. Here is set 1, set number 2. This is the status code. I told you about the status code in the earlier section that 200 is for a success code. That means the request that you created to the server, the client made a request to the server received it. That's what 200 response code shows, that the server have accepted your request. The server accepted the request but have not validated the login. These are two different things. The receiving, see, if you said something to me and I tell you that, okay, I heard it, that's an acceptance that I heard what you said. But it doesn't mean that I accept and I agree what you mean, right? So I may not agree with you, but I will listen to you. It's like that. So the server heard you, it got something from your side. So 200 shows me that. But if the login was successful or not, that's a whole different thing. Now, how to validate that? It can be based on length. This length is basically the length of the page in bytes. So when this kind of combination took place, let's say this one. Let's use this one. Let's say when this combination took place, the server sent a 200 response. That means, okay, your request was accepted. And the length of the page that loaded was 4919 bytes. 4919 bytes. Now, if you want to check how we can confirm it, if you see when I click on this request over here, Sunshine admin, at the bottom side, I'll get the request that was sent from my side. The request goes from the client, if you remember, and the response comes from the server, right? The server sends a response, the client sends a request. So this was my request that I sent from my end, and this is where the response will come from the server. So I can also see what kind of response the server is giving back to me. So let's take a look that when I added Sunshine and admin as a password, what was the response the server gave to me? So when I look into it, you can see it's like all code over here, and it does not make sense to me because, of course, I can't understand the code thoroughly, and I might have to analyze the whole code. So it will take a really long time. So simply in this section here, we have pretty, raw, hex, and render. So when you click on render, it will compile your code and show you in a browser format. So take a look. When I click render, it's loading, and now it will show me what you will see if you tried Sunshine and admin. This is what you will see. It says username or password is incorrect. I can see for a lot of other responses also. Let's say for football and this one, it says username password incorrect. If I go with password and football, it says username password incorrect. So I can see that the page length is defining what kind of page is there. Now, because the page is same, right, for all of them, that's why the length is also going to be the same. 4920, 4920, 4920. In some cases, at max, it's 4919. Basically, what is meant here, whatever input you're giving, the same page is loading, right? There's no change in the page over here. It's not loading a new page, it's loading the same page again and again. So the length of the page is going to be same. But we have to understand, we are not going to get the same page if the login was successful, right? We would get something else. And it is obvious, but if we are getting something else, the length of the page will also be different. So for incorrect passwords, let's say for 50 incorrect passwords, the page length is 0. If the password is correct, it will open a different kind of content. And because of that, the page length will be different. It may increase. It may become 5,000 or maybe more or less. I don't know. We don't know that yet, right? So if we will see the length, that can be a differentiator to see which one could be the right entry. If the page length is different, it's obvious the entry that we made resulted into something successful, right? I hope this is all is making sense. So just like in Excel sheets, you can sort everything based on the ascending and descending order. So we can also do the same. We can also do the same in payload. We can sort the payload based on the ascending and descending order. We can do with payload number 2. We can do with status code. We can also do with length. So if I do the ascending and descending in length, if I do the sorting in length, as soon as I do it, the shortest one comes up first because it's ascending from short to the highest. If I click it again, it will turn into descending order. You know, ascending and descending. I hope this is like basic stuff. I assume you guys know about it. So as soon as I click on that again, I get the descending order. And now you can see there are 2 pages which are in the descending order, and they are having different entry point, different length. If you see here, over here, God damn it. So we have entries like 4986. Now 4986 confirms this is a different length than all of the incorrect ones. So if incorrect password page have a length of 4920, this is a possibility that this could be the correct one. This could be the correct one, right? So we have 2 of these different stuff. One of them is having a length of 4985 and the other one is 4986. And both of them is admin password and admin password. So if you see, when I click on this, the render shows welcome to the password protected area admin. That means this was a successful attempt. So hence we got confirmation here now. So what I'll do is I'll quickly go in my browser, right? And okay, first of all, in my Burp suite, I have to turn off the intercept request over here. Turn off intercept so I can try with browser. In my browser, now if I try admin password and I try login, see, it worked. It actually worked out. So this is how exactly you make brute force attacks as well. You use dictionaries, and once you start the attack, you get this window to make a differentiation and to understand which one could work out. You can either go with length, or sometimes even status code helps as well. So in some cases, what happens is the status code might be different. Let's say if you log in, instead of showing you success, the incorrect entries might show you redirection like 20302 or maybe 404 or 413, something like this. These entries actually mean that your page was not successfully loaded. It's going to somewhere else. That means your entries were incorrect. If your entry is correct, it will show you 200. So you can also do the same thing on status code. Instead of ignoring all of them, just do the descending and ascending sorting. And based on that, you will see the first entry there, which is 200. In a big list of 302 or 413, 200 is the smallest one, right? So if you do the ascending sorting, you will see on the very top. Similarly, in the length, we know the page length will be different if a different kind of page is loaded based on the content. So if 4920 is the page length for incorrect, there's definitely going to be another page length, a different page length for the correct one. And that is what we got here. So these are the 2 differentiators that you can look into if you want to, confirm which entry actually was the correct one. So yeah, that's what you can, that's how you can do it. I'm not going into the complexities of Burp suite because there's a lot of stuff I can add here. I can add rejects and different stuff, but that will be totally out of the context and out of like scope of this training. See, Burp suite is not something that I can teach in a day or maybe in a few weeks. It takes months to learn the complete information about Burp Suite. It's a very heavy tool. It's a very advanced tool, frankly, and it's very important tool also, because without this, I really can't say that if you will excel in cybersecurity, because it is one of the most important ones. And interviewers look into this tool very specifically. If you really want to crack it, you need to know what is Burp Suite thoroughly, in and out. You need to know it. So yeah, that was the example of a brute force attack, how you do it in Burp Suite. I am going to look into the chat box. I have a few questions here, like Mr. Vijendra Desai, Dr. Vijendra Desai says, what is the meaning of filtered HTTP? Filtered HTTP is nothing but the HTTP which is having some sort of a layer of monitoring, a monitoring layer which defines like what kind of content is allowed or what kind of security parameter is allowed. It defines like what it's basically a security parameter here that filters what kind of content will be shown on your browser. So that's an HTTP. It's basically firewall. If I have to define it in a single word, it's a firewall. Later on, somebody's PR, actually, I'm not sure what's the name here. PR says, forgot the email password, didn't give any recovery phone number. So how can I receive my email? That's a different thing. I'm sorry, I can't help you in this in much, because first of all, I'm not sure what service you're using. Is it Gmail, Yahoo, or whatever? And secondly, I don't even know what is the recovery process for that particular organization. I know about Gmail, you can send them a request and they will identify your government ID or something, and based on that, there is a may. It's a very, it's very uncertain if they will really do it or not. They may help you out, but there are very few chances actually. So yeah, until unless there is any an inquiry going on or any kind of police proceedings going on, we cannot really summon the company to provide you with a service where they can retrieve your email. They only do it when it's a matter of national security or something like that. Otherwise, there are very few chances you can get it back. Okay, so what's next do we have is command execution. Okay, so this actually is a very, 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 very rare condition that you might come across. Let me explain you why am I saying it. In a lot of organizations, we have intranet applications. Now understand what is intranet. Internet is where you connect with other people. Okay, there are two different words. I'm not sure how many of you already know it, but for those who don't, I'm just going to explain it. There is internet that with which you connect and browse everything else. Then there is intranet, which actually works in your local area network, in a LAN environment or in a closed environment, basically. So in organizational intranet services, there are certain applications that runs only for the in-house employees. Nobody else outside can use it. You can't even open that application if you're not connected to the organization network. So those are intranet web apps. When you work with big companies like pharmaceutical companies or technical companies, they have internet applications for various purposes, maybe for communication, maybe for data delivery, or for whatever reason could be there. So there can be projects or there can be certain scenarios where you have to test intranet web applications. And in these kind of scenarios, majorly in these scenarios, we see applications that are used for certain command executions. Like technical teams have applications which can be using a portal for executing different kind of commands. Now, when we are using certain portals, we have accessibility to a shell. Remember, I told you a shell is a service that is used to execute commands. Now, if I am giving you a shell service on a web application, on a website, that can also be used very differently. Now, let's just take a look how input fields can be attacked with this. This is a tip from my side. a very simple thing I want to explain you guys, which is also important. When we talk about web application attacks, the fundamental thing that you proceed with always are these. Always look for input fields. Always look for parameters, data parameters. Um, yeah, first, these are two basic things that you look for. There are so many other things like APIs and stuff, which I'm not going in depth right now because that will be like literally a bouncer. But let's just stick to these. Input fields are the fields which basically takes in your input and it delivers it to the database on the web server. Parameters do the same thing. So sometimes input fields are there, but parameters are not visible. So it's okay. There are different techniques for that. There are more advanced methods for this. You need to really understand how a web application is created first. So this is what you look for. And when we have input fields available, understand that there are high chances that you can find at least one vulnerability in there, at least one. You can. There is a very big possibility. I don't agree when somebody says like my website is totally unhackable. There is nothing like totally unhackable. It can be hacked. It's just that it's not been discovered how. So that's only the matter. Otherwise, everything can be hacked. So let's say over here in this scenario, we have a input field that says enter an IP address below and it will do the ping on the IP address. So let's say I type an IP address here, 192, or maybe I'll type any random IP address. It doesn't even matter. Oh, sorry. Right, this is a random IP address, some random numbers. When I click submit, let's see what do we get. What does it say? 3 packets transmitted, 0 received. 100% packet loss means, so basically what's happening is it is going to ping that IP address. So if I do on another one, 192.168.1.18, and I click submit, what does it say? 3 packet transmitted, 3 received, 0 packet loss. That means no packet was lost. The communication was established. And here it shows that the device is responding. You can see the ICMP sequence request, the TTL as well. Remember, I told you something about TTL, if you remember that. And yeah, it's 64. So it's a Linux machine, I can assume. So basically, this input field is letting me ping that IP address. Where do we execute ping command? What is the ping command first? It's simple. You type ping and then you type the IP address, right? That's how you execute it. My question is, where do we execute this? Do we execute this in a browser? No. We do it in a file manager? No. We execute this in terminals, right? In shells. That's where we execute it, in shell. So basically what's happening here is this portal over here, this portal is taking entries from this input field, taking to the web server. The web server must have a shell service running on the web server. It executes the command ping dash. Now understand how the whole mechanism is working. It's very interesting to understand. This input that you make, let's call this input as X. Now this X input, whatever you're putting in, is being taken to the web server, and whatever value X is storing, let's say X is storing XYZ, like 192.168, whatever, that value is placed in this blank form. This command is executed and the result is printed directly on your side. Okay. right? So that's how it works. Just give me a second here, please, guys. Okay, I'm sorry, I was not audible. My bad. So this is the basic architecture, that how the web server is able to execute some commands. It's just taking input in the form of a parameter called x over here, and it takes it to the web server. The web server have shell. It executes the command ping. The entry for the ping is taken from that variable x that we got from the website, and that's how it shows us the output on our web page. The point to be concerned about is x here, this parameter x is taking input from my side, right? Here, if I'm innocent, I'll just simply type an IP address, simple, sober IP address, right? Nothing much. But what if I type something else? What if I add a combination? So take an example. If x is carrying a value called ABC, so here what's gonna ping? It will ping basically ping ABC, right? That's what it will do. So if I type here, let's say maybe 1 2 3 4 whatever, if I type that, it will also type the same thing in the ping command as well. 1 2 3 hash and f pq dot. It will do this. It will exactly the same thing will be entered here as well. Ping 1 2 3 hash and f whatever, right? That's exactly what's going to happen. Now let's give it a try. If I enter here a cache and I click submit, oh, it doesn't show me anything. Okay, so that means there is something which is stopping me from doing that kind of stuff. It is not allowing me to enter anything apart from an IP address. If I do anything else, it doesn't show me the result. So there is some sort of script running in the background which is not allowing me. If I click on the view source here, this is a source code of this page, by the way. Here, it requests an IP, basically. The IP is being taken from my end. It goes on the web page. You can see here we have a CMD command running. There's a shell execution going on. It types ping. It types ping in the shell, and then the target is added. Where is the target coming from? From user end. And then it shows us the ping. It echoes the command over here. That means it echoes the result of the command. So that's how we are getting the result. Now the problem here is it is only taking numbers as a target. It's not taking anything else. So I can add some stuff with the numbers as well. Let's say I type here 192.168.1.18. This should be my valid. This is a valid entry, right? According to this web application, it's a valid entry. What if I modify it? This is a valid command that can execute in ping, that can execute in shell, right? This command can be executed. Now let me take you to Linux quickly and show you something over here which is important to understand. What just happened? Where is my there it is. Let me show you something interesting about Linux. We are going to understand the combination of different commands. Here, if I type ping 192.168.1.3. Okay. So 1.4 is responding. 192.168.1.4. So it is, you see, it is responding me, right? Correct? Simple stuff, nothing much. If I want to execute a combination of command, it's a very different process. Now, when I ping a particular IP address, it will keep on pinging until I manually stop it. But what if I only want 3 packets details, like the way we are getting on the website? So I can define the count here. I can do C-C3. So -C will define the count. Now it will only scan for 3 packets and it will stop automatically. You see, it stopped. I'll do it again. It stopped. After 3 packets, it stopped automatically, right? So the count 3 is for the number of packets I want to scan specifically. Now this command I know is just going to scan for three packets and will stop. But what if after this command, I want one more command to follow up? So what I'll add here is and symbol. This and symbol combines 2 different commands here. So after this is executed, I also want to execute the another one also. So execute this and this. So let's try this one out. Let's say I want to do the ls. Ls command is for listing. Remember? Simple command, right? So when I press enter, see what happens. It's not showing properly. That's unfortunate. Anyway, you'll get the idea. But what's happening here is it's not just starting ping right now. At the same time, it is also executing ls command. See, there are 2 conditions you have to understand. One of them is an and condition and the other one is a or condition. So when we talk about that, I want to, let's talk about a sentence. I want to eat apple and I want to eat banana. When I say I want to eat apple and banana, I mean I want to take them both, right? So the condition, if we talk about the truth condition, it will be true to say that I am going to execute both. But if I say apple or banana, that means one of them is going to be true. Either I'm going to eat apple or I'm going to eat banana. One of them is going to be true at least, right? In the condition of and, both of them are going to be true because I'm going to eat both of them. That's I'm going to eat apple, it's true. I'm going to eat banana, it is also true. But when you talk about or, one of the condition is going to be true. Either I'm going to eat apple, either that is true, or I'm going to eat banana, that is true. So similarly, when we talk about command execution, and an or plays a very important role. The symbolization is a little bit different as compared to the alphabetical representation. In and, we represent it with this symbol of ampersand, and symbol, and or is represented by a symbol of pipe, a straight pipe. That is or symbol, and is the ampersand symbol. I hope this is clear. Now I am adding and here. That means ping and ls both will be executed. But what if I make it or? Let's see how it works. If I do, instead of and, if I do it or, I added a pipe. For those who do not know what is a pipe symbol, above your enter key, there is a symbol which is a slash and a pipe. So when you use the pipe, this is the kind of symbol you get. I'm sure you guys have seen your keyboard at least. Now you see what happened. It executed only one of them. And which one? The secondary one. It even ignored the first command in the first place. It said like, I'm not even going to bother about it. I'm just going to give you the second one because I'm not going to ping. It's an or condition, right? So I'm going to execute the second condition that you're giving me. So see how interesting it is. I did the ping or ls and it did ls for me. It went with the second command. What if I can do the similar kind of thing in my command shell? Because when I looked into the source code, carefully, if you will see, it clearly shows here this execution ping -c3 and the target IP address. That means this command is executing first. But along with it, if I add something else, I get a different result. Let's take a look how. Ultimately, I know that it is only accepting I'm sorry. Yeah, it's only accepting the IP addresses. So I'm going to type an IP address 192.168.1.18. But along with the IP address, I put a pipe symbol and I type here, let's say, who am I? It's a Linux command, right? So let's see what do we get here. What does it say? It gives me now information for who am I. It says my username is www-data. That might be the username. Let's try something more better. 168.1.18. I'm going to copy this address. Okay. I put a or symbol and I type here, let's say, uname-a. Click submit. When this command uname-a actually gives you system details. Uname-a gives you this kind of system details. It says it's a Linux machine, name is metasploitable, this is the version number, this is a timestamp of when you ask for this detail. So uname is the command for that. It's also a good command. So now I am able to execute commands from the web application. You see what I'm doing? I am able to access a shell. I didn't even use any exploit. I didn't use any payload. A simple logic is what is executing over here. So if you come across any web application that is giving you a shell command execution functionality, you can exploit it this way as well. And this kind of scenario is very much common in intranet applications, in applications which are running inside the companies. I was given an example of Zen app or Citrix or there are different kind of work snaps and stuff. Those are manufactured applications. They are different at what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the in-house built applications. They have thousands of vulnerabilities because first thing, developer don't have to worry that it will be going out of the organization. No customer is going to use it. It is just only be used by the in-house people, the employees. And of course, no employee will try to hack their own company. Otherwise, they are the part of the company, they will be kicked out, right? And that is the reason, that carelessness is the reason intranet applications have a lot of bugs, a lot of them. I remember this scenario was very much evident in one of the pharmaceutical companies that I worked for, that I was on a project for when I was working with PwC. We saw at least 18 different bugs that led us to command execution. So yes, these kind of scenarios are very common. And if you ever come across a shell execution from a website, you know what to try, right? You can do a lot of stuff here, basically. Like let's suppose I put an IP address and then I put an OR symbol. And if I do what? How about I open a Python server? You know how to open a Python? Okay, type yes or no in the chat box if you know how to open a Python server. I've taught this before, but I'm not sure if you guys remember it. Yes or no in the chat box, everyone. I can see a lot of no's. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I'll tell you right now. So Python have a lot of modules, basically. Python is an amazing language, by the way. It's a great collection of different modules which help us use different functionalities of Python. So for example, let's say I am in this location in Linux, which is /user/data/file, right? My file. Okay. This is my location, and in this location we have a lot of files, like 1 2 3 4 5, whatever, right? These many files are in this location over here. Now what I want is I want to share these files on my local network with somebody. How file sharing works, we know, let's say this IP address 192.168.1.18 is my IP, and I want to host all these files on my IP so that somebody who is on another IP address can access my files. Maybe 1.17 can access my files, 1.19. But we remember, as per the logical concepts, that a port number is required, which was port number 21. Remember? It was for file transfer. But I'm talking about Python here, right? I'm not talking about file transfer protocol. I'm talking about simple Python stuff. So Python is an amazing tool that can host a temporary server for you. You can create a temporary server with Python. It's very simple. I'll show you how. Simply, you have to type here Python -m. It basically calls a module that it tells Python that I'm going to use a module. The module name is http.server. And now Python knows that I'm going to host a server. Okay. And then I give the port number that I want for the server. Of course, it is not going to host the server on a default port like port number 21 or whatever. I can host it on any port number which is vacant, which is available, which is free. So let's say I type here 4043, random port, could be anything, 9047, right? Whatever. This port is vacant. I know nothing is running here, so I can use this port. Now what I'll do is, when I execute this command in my terminal, it's very important what location I am in, because it will host all the files in that location only. If I am executing this command when my PWD is this, I assume you know PWD, which is present working directory. If this is my PWD, when I execute this command, Python will host all of these files on my temporary server. Let me show you how. It's very simple. If you go on terminal, I will type here. Okay, let me just show you first what is my PWD currently. My PWD says I'm in home/Kali. When I do ls, these are all the files that are available, right? Let's say I want to share user.txt with somebody else who can access my server. So to make that happen, I'll type here Python -m HTTP server. Let's say what was the port number I chose? 9047, right? 9047. So when I press enter, it will start the server. The $1,000,000 question is, how am I going to access it? It's very simple also. Let me go on my Firefox. Okay. I want to access on my Firefox. I want to download that file in my Windows, because I started the server in my Linux, by the way. And now I'm going to download this user.txt on Windows. So what I have to do is, in my browser, I simply have to type the IP address here, 192.168.1.18. Then I give the port number 9047 and I press enter. And when I do it, you will see it is showing me the directory listing for all the files that existed in that location. If you will see, I'll show you again if for a reference. In this location, we can see these many files are over there already in the same location. And all of these files are accessible now on this temporary server address. And all of these files are here. I can download user.txt if I want. You can see all the content I can also see. I can also go into desktop. I can see what's there on desktop. There's nothing. In documents, there's nothing. So I can go in any direction forward. I cannot go backward. I cannot go back in home directory. I will only be able to see the listing that is available, that is made available to me. So I cannot go back. I can only go forward into these directions or in these locations. So that's what Python server will do. Now imagine if I am able to open a Python server on my target machine. Basically, I can access any file there, right? So it's like a reverse access that I'm generating. So if I do this on shell, it will be python -m http dot server 8073. And I know the IP address is 1.15. So if I go on a new tab, 1.15 port 8073, enter. As of now, it's not going to show me anything because I haven't started the server yet. But if I submit, let's see what do we get. Okay, it executed. I'm not sure what's happening. Let's try it out. It didn't work. Okay. The reason is possibly, there is a possible reason for that. Let me complete my sentence. Python might not be installed on my target. There could be a reason. If Python is not there, how will it call the module? Right. It is not necessary Python is installed on every Linux. They might have blocked the Python. They might have removed Python because they don't need it. Possibilities are there. So that might be the reason it's not working out. Otherwise, it should have worked. So that's how you execute these commands in the shell. Give me a second here, guys. Never mind. Okay, so yeah. So that's how you execute commands, and this is command execution. We also technically call it command injection because we are injecting our commands into the web server, the target web server. So we did two things today. We did understood the brute force. We did understood the command injection, right? If anybody have any question, you can ask right now, and then I'll later move on to the another vulnerability. Any questions here? I'm looking into the chat box right now. I'm actually replying some questions too. So Sheetal is asking, in brute force attack, how hackers are hiding their machine identity. You can use proxy chains. You can, you can use VPNs. You can use proxies. You can use certain kind of mechanisms to hide your IP address. Hackers also use botnets. A botnet is nothing but like a slave network of. Okay, let me explain what is a botnet. It's a simple concept, frankly, but it's important to explain it. So for those who already have an understanding, it's very good. This is for those who do not understand it. Okay. So in a botnet, if this is a hacker, he have already hacked into, let's say, 500 different systems. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on and so forth. These are 500 different systems are there. And if the target of the hacker is going to be maybe an organization like maybe Amazon, right? For example. So if the hacker wants to make an attack on Amazon, he will not do it himself. Of course not, because he will be caught, right? So what he will do is he will take advantage of this botnet, and from every single machine, he will start making attack on Amazon. These are all now bots. These are bots because these are controlled by the hacker, and these are machines. So they are robots, right? So short form is bot. And because they are now in a network created by the hacker, so it becomes a network of bot, which is botnet. So this botnet is now going to attack on Amazon. So now the Amazon is going to get the traffic from 500 different systems, could be anywhere in the world, right? So now Amazon is not going to be able to detect where the attack is coming from. So this is also one of the techniques the hackers use very efficiently. How to create a botnet, I'm not going to teach you. Of course, it's a illegal activity, but this is a concept that they use. Okay, I am actually going to stop the topics for today. I think they are very good enough as of now for today. These topics are really big and they require more attention. So I will not be able to like finish them in like 20-25 minutes. So it will be really injustice if I start explaining these topics in this small amount of time. So tomorrow I'm going to complete these three topics: CSRF, file inclusion, and file upload vulnerability. For SQL, we'll keep a separate day. It's a very big topic actually. I'll see if I can show you like as soon as possible. So yeah, that was all for today, guys. If there are doubts, if there are questions, if there are queries you want to ask, you want to talk, chat box is open. If you want to say something, you can let me know. I'll unmute you as well. So let's just fix it. If there are any doubts, if there are any questions, you can ask in the chat box. I'm available. By the way, I have told you about Bugcrowd and HackerOne. They are platforms for testing. You can try finding these vulnerabilities on them as well. You can go on their platform, look for the websites, try finding these vulnerabilities over there. Like I've shown you yesterday XSS, I've shown you today command injection, brute force. You can try, but make sure you do not, break any of their policies. Read everything, read the whole documentation, and then accordingly try the attack. Do not perform any of these activities on any of the targets until you have proper permissions, until you read their policies appropriately. These attacks are serious attacks. These are not just for fun or for learning. If you want to learn it on DVWA, learn it on different platforms, I'll tell you. But if you're doing it on a company's website, make sure you read their policies and you are in the scope. You don't go out of the scope, don't go out of bounds. Because if a company finds that you're trying a brute force attack and if it is not in their policy, they literally can file a legal case against you and you will be held liable for it. So make sure whenever you're doing this stuff, you're doing it very responsibly. I am only teaching it with a purpose to give you knowledge, not to encourage you for anything wrong. So make sure you follow all that. The attendance link is already shared in the chat box as well. By the way, for those who want, they can please fill the feedbacks. Also, I'm sharing again the drive link with you guys. Please save it with you because I'm going to upload a lot of content. I'll keep uploading content here. So I think it will be better if you save it or bookmark or something like that. It will be better. Sheetal is asking if we have a temporary environment we can try. Metasploitable is that, right? We have DVWA. See, in 15 days, definitely I cannot teach you everything about cybersecurity. there are maybe hundreds of different platforms there to teach you, to explain, which cannot be covered in 15 days. I'm trying to explain as much as possible. But if you see here, just like DBWA, we have TWiki, we have PHP MyAdmin, we have Matilde, we have WebDAV. There is another thing, I'm forgetting the name, BWAP. So there's so many things, right? There is Hackathon. There is another. It's like just like Amazon, but made for testing purpose. So there's so many other things available there for testing purposes. But for your feasibility, I'll create a folder in my drive for testing environments, and I'll upload some content there that you can learn like how to install them and how they work. Maybe that will help. There are so many of them, frankly. There is also this website. It's called, if you will see on my screen, it's called testphp.wellweb.com. This link I've shared in the chat box also. This is also a testing platform created. We have altoromutual.com, which is a testing banking website that is created only for the purpose of, finding vulnerabilities or testing or practicing your skill set. So I think you have a lot of them. This is one of them. We also have another one. Let me just get the link for you. I forgot the link of it actually. Just a second. I majorly teach on test PHP and Altoro only. They are very good enough. They work absolutely the same like any other web application. Just a second. Okay, if you go on this website, wellweb.com, all this listing that is coming up here, these are testing platforms. Let that be this one, test HTML, test PHP, test ASP, ASP.NET, REST.web. Test, you can do, practice on any of these platforms. It doesn't matter. These are technologies these platforms are made with. This is one of the most simplest one. So I try to teach on this one because this is like the most basic one. If you have a good skill set, you can also try on these platforms as well. Right. So yeah, they can give you good learning. They can give you good exposure. And yeah, nobody's going to hold you responsible for anything. So yeah, you can try. El Toro Mutual is a banking simulator. I think you can also try this out. You can practice your skills here. So yeah. Also, one more thing for those who are really, really interested to learn web application hacking, please go on this website called Port Swigger Labs. When you search for this, Port Swigger is the company who created Burp Suite. They are the creators of Burp Suite. So you know that they are pro people, they are legendary people. In their labs, they give you like also a very good extensive training and like complete description on how to perform vulnerabilities. You can see like all the labs are designed with different kind of vulnerabilities altogether. Absolutely, you need a basic understanding that what is SQL, right? So I'm going to share you this name as well. It's called Portswigger Labs. You can go there. They are very, very like properly created and very great architecture. Portswigger Labs. Yeah, that's the one. You can also bookmark this later. This website is like a free online training. They are providing it for free, by the way. So anybody can learn. You just need to sign up, log in, download Burp Suite, start working. Simple, right? They even teach you how to install Burp Suite. So I mean, what else they can give you, right? They have given everything here. There is XSS, there is SQL, CSRF, XXE injection. There's so many of them. If you'll see View All Lab, you'll see all of them here. You see, so many of them are here. And all of these are legit cases that you will see in the professional domain also. So that's an add-on, by the way. So you can learn here. In learning material, you will see a lot of learning material here. Just click on any one of them and it'll start working on that. There's one more actually. I want to share just a second. Mm. See, when you are in this domain, you will come across a lot of shady places. Also, you will see a lot of websites that claims that they will provide you good stuff. You might also be interested to go on the dark web and everything. Please refrain from that as of now. If you do not have the proper knowledge, don't go. I'll share it tomorrow. There are a few more links. I'll create a file in my drive which will have like all the links for the training platforms. You can take a look at that. And if there is any kind of request that you want to make for a specific kind of content, in my drive there is a form link. Just open the form, submit your request that if you need a specific kind of content, I'll try to find that content and I'll add it in my drive. If you want, you can also do that, no problem. You can request certain kind of content as well if you need specific stuff. So yeah, on top of that, there are so many websites online which teaches you stuff for free. There is this thing called Geeks for Geeks. They teach you stuff for literally free, right? There are so many others, geeks for things like for Python, Java, C++. There is something called Tutorials Point. They also teach you a lot of stuff for free. If you really want to learn languages like Python and stuff, you can go for them. There is Hacking Articles. This is one of my mentors' website, Mr. Raj Chandel. He's a legendary guy. Trust me. He's a founder for one of the companies these days. But yeah, they also keep uploading a lot of great articles. If you want to learn something, go on their website. There are so many articles over here. They describe the complete procedure very well. So yeah, there are so many of them. So it's also based on your research, how much you want to research further. There is the security trails. They also add some more articles. So yeah, you should know how to Google. I mean, nobody's going to spoon feed you all the time. So Googling is also an art. So go for that. So yeah, I think if you follow these platforms, I think you will be good to go. And please refrain yourself from going into any place where you're not sure what you're going to get. There are going to be a lot of places where they will give you free courses, free thing, free this and that. Don't trust. And see, if something is given to you for free, you are the product. Even these websites like Tutorial Points or Geeks for Geeks, they are legitimate people, but if they're giving it to you for free, they are advertising them, right? So you are the product, and ultimately they are trying to sell you something. They will maybe influence you to learn something or influence you to buy their course or whatever. I don't care. My point is, if something is for free, make sure that when you are accessing it, you do not fall for their traps, their marketing strategies, or their phishing attempts. So yeah, that's it. Well, that's it for today. I think I am up to wrap up the session, but I'm still waiting for people who are asking questions. If there are any questions, you can let me know. The chat in the chat box, the attendance link is also being shared continuously. Please fill the feedback and attendance form. It will be really appreciated. Yep. So any other questions, please let me know in the chat box. I am available to answer. So Parveen is asking which software will be good for creating attacks, detecting them, and for preventing them in the distributed network. Oh, Okay. See, creating attacks is not something that I'll recommend. Okay. I'm not here to teach you anything illegal or something that will put you in trouble. But I'll tell you about a concept of these things called IDS and IPS. I don't know if you have heard of them. These are intrusion detection system, and IPS is intrusion prevention system. They work in a combination. One of them detects, the other one prevents. There are so many of them available. One of the most trusted one is provided by Sophos that I've worked with as well. Sophos also have something called a UTM, which is short for a unified threat machine, which actually is a hybrid and an advanced combination of IDS and IPS only. There is Sophos. There is also forgot the name. FortiGate is there. If you have heard of it, there is another one by Avast. There is also there is one called Snort. I know it's a funny name, but trust me, it is a good one. Even I have used in multiple organizations. They still like depend on Snort for a lot of network-based testing and security purposes. So if you go on Google and if you type Snort IDS intrusion detection system, will show up this system software. It's an open source one. It is created for a purpose like to detect intrusions and to prevent intrusions. So it's a very good software, frankly. It's a little bit complex to use, but again, it's a very good one. Yeah, so there is also another one I remember now. It's Suricata. There is OSSec. OSSec, frankly, is a little bit outdated, so let's just remove it. There is Suricata. It's very good one. So these are some of the IDS and IPS services that you can look into for network-based security purposes. If you are working in organizations, then you can also speak with your technical people. They might know about these things. So yeah, these are some of the examples that you can look into. All right then. Any other questions? See, okay, the other question that Praveen asked was creating attacks. See, there is nothing at creating attacks that I'm going to teach you. It's about testing attacks, right? Testing for different attack types. I've shown you a lot of tools. The best tool I haven't shown you yet, it's called Wireshark, and it is one of the best tools for network based security testing and analysis and monitoring. It's like a one and all tool. It's great and it's amazing. So you can also do your research about that in one of the upcoming sessions, maybe day after tomorrow, or maybe the session after tomorrow's session. I will teach you Wireshark only. I will come to the network testing part. So I'll show you Wireshark how it works. So yeah, I think it will be enough. Okay, any more questions? Anyone else would like to ask? Yeah, Paveen, I will give you the hands-on section on Wireshark, so don't worry. Yeah. You know what? Let's at least I'll spend an hour on Wireshark with you. So I'll like try to show you as much possible demonstration with Wireshark as possible, being in the limit of the sessions, and the scope of the curriculum that we have for these 15 days. So yeah, I'll try to show as much as possible. Don't worry about that. Okay, on that note, I think we have came to an end for today's session, guys. I will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. You know where. Till then, take care of yourself, stay safe on the internet, stay hydrated, drink a lot of water. It's very important. And yeah, don't do anything mischievous on the internet. Don't do anything illegal. Be responsible. I will see you guys tomorrow. If there is any question left, you guys can ask me tomorrow, no problem. Please fill out the attendance link and over to the ExcelR team. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Akash.
Thanks, Anna.
Yes. Guys, hope you enjoy the session. Please, any queries, let me know in the chat box. I will try to address your questions. Hare Krishna. Your question is, sir, today day 12, but send day 11 attendance link. No, actually, Friday we didn't have a session, right? So today is 11th day only. That's why I sent day 11. Praveen, tomorrow what topic, ma'am? Please drop an email to edl@excelr.com. So they will explain the topics about, okay? Juveria, I send the attendance, so please mark it. Hare Krishna, I told, right? Today is the 11th day only because we missed the class. Like we suspended the class on Friday. So that's why. Any questions for me? So there is no questions means I will wind up the session for today. So please let me know if there are any questions. Durga Bhavani. Yes, I'm sending the link. I hope you people have the drive with you. Both YouTube and Zoom people. If you want means I'll send that as well. Okay, I hope there is no more questions for me. Okay, then today we'll wind up the session. We'll meet you on the same time tomorrow. Up to then, take care.